Hi, it's Andy, and today I'm bringing you my June wrap-up. So in the month of June, I actually read 11 books, which is definitely not my best for the year so far. But as you can probably tell from the bags under my eyes and the massive spot under my eye and the general dishevelment of myself, June has been a rough month. And I will say 11 books is still amazing. I just need to, if someone said to me, oh, I only read 3 books this month, I'd be like, amazing. You did amazing. They could have been novellas and I would be like, amazing. But when it comes to me, my standards are ridiculously high and I think I'm a failure for not reading 15 books. So take that with the pinch of salt. I'm working on it. But again, this has been a rough month, so my whole thing, I just feel like crap. So 11 books. It was almost an even half and half split, ebooks and physical books. So I read 6 physical books and the rest were ebooks, and a few of them were arcs. So I'm just going to go over them with you and let you know what I thought. So the first book I read in the month of June was Authority by Jeff Vandermeer. This is the second, I want to say, book in the, book 2 of the Southern Reach series. So Vicky's kindly allowed me to borrow her copies of the Southern Reach series. The first one is... I can't even remember what the first one is. The first one is Annihilation. And it's such a weird sci-fi series. You get no answers. You're left with more questions than answers by the end of the books. And it's really cool, while at the same time being quite unsatisfying. I don't know what it is, but I'm really enjoying this. I have been listening to them as audios, along with reading them, because the audios have been really interesting. This one has definitely made me want to pick up the next one. I haven't yet, spoiler for the video, I haven't picked up the next one just because I've been in a not great headspace, so you will see that it is mostly romances that I've been reading because I just needed something to pick me up. But this follows Control, who is an agent of the Southern Reach, and he has to kind of find out what's going on from the end of the last one. So the people that went into Area X, I can't remember now, the people who went in, he needs to interview the ones that came out and find out what the heck is going on. And Control has some kind of background with his Southern Reach anyway, with his mum who was an agent. You get some of his backstory, you get a backstory about Area X, and it's just so bizarre. Nothing happens in this book, but so much information is given. That's the only way I can describe it. If you want some kind of weird, probably quite unsettling, unsatisfying sci-fi, these books are the way to go. There's 2 more books. It was meant to be a trilogy, but there is another book that I did. I don't know if there's going to be more, but I am excited to read more. Next, I read For Whom the Bell Tolls again, because I was feeling like crap, and these characters are real comfort characters to me. So JC Lynn is a author, obviously, but she also has a really well-established TikTok, and on her TikTok she started this skit called Hell's Bells, and it is about this woman called Lily who dies of cancer, and when she goes to the other side, basically the afterlife, she gets kind of bored, and so she decides she is going to set up a help desk in hell. Now, I also got this pin as part of the pre-order thing, so as you can see it says help, 2 L's, help desk. Welcome to the help desk. How can I help you? And so Lily sets up this help desk in hell, and the skits on TikTok really are just her interacting with people. So the help desk is there to help the demons, not to help the souls. The souls that generally come to the help desks are your Karens. They are the ones that are like, do you know who I am? I'm so important. I shouldn't be in hell. There's been a mistake. I've been a good Christian because it's the Christian hell. I shouldn't be here, yada, yada, yada. And Lily basically just getting to smack them down, along with some other characters that we meet throughout the skit. Now, I love this skit. I've rewatched it several times. It is, again, something I go to for comfort because there's just something so, like, there's story that runs through it as well. Like, she picked up a storyline and started going through all these interactions and the relationships that the characters have to one another. It's amazing. I love it. And For Whom the Bell Tolls is the book kind of set before that. So this follows Lily as she finds out that she has cancer and is aware pretty much from the start that this cancer is going to kill her. And so we see Lily's journey with cancer for the very, very first bit. I think the first chapter or so is her sort of going through this process of dying, and then she wakes up in the afterlife, goes to judgment, and this leads to the creation of the help desk, the establishment of relationships between characters, how she meets all the characters we know and love, and not all the characters, but the start of how she meets some of the characters in Hell's Bells. And yeah, I love this. This, like I said, this is just a comfort read. It is very quite sad in some places. Obviously, you're dealing a lot with death, and there's also a incursion from another dimension into hell, and thus the hell, the legions have to go to war. You get to know characters who are with the legions, and the massive effect that it has throughout this universe or throughout this afterlife, when it does cause war. It is, this book is so, I can't even describe it, but it is one of my favourite books of all time. And the next book, it is also a romancy, by the way. It is how it's called For Whom the Bell Tolls, because there is Lily meets this demon called Beleth, or Bell for short, and they strike up a romance. So it is a fantasy romance, but it does get quite heavy, and I absolutely love this. Like, the depth of these characters and seeing characters through this, just like characters that I know from the help desk, is just, it's just amazing. And the way it ended, I saw coming. Like, I obviously, like, I know most of like the lore because of the TikToks, but there's a thing that happens at the end of the book, and I remember the first time I read it, because this is the third time I think I've read this book, maybe the second, but I think the third. I remember thinking, no way are you going to end it there. Like, I know what you're about to do, and don't you dare end it there. But she obviously did, and every time I'm even like tearing up thinking about it, because it is a perfect point to end the story to then introduce what we're going to see in the next book, and I am so excited. The next book I read was Problematic Summer Romance by Ellie Hazelwood. This book annoyed me, not the book that came out wrong. So if you remember when, May is the next one, was it called Bride? If you remember when Bride was released, everybody was up in arms about it being a megaverse and it being like this, that and the next thing. There was another book that was released recently that Deep End, everybody was up in arms because it was kink related, and each time I've read these books I've been like, you people need to go outside and touch grass. Like, if you think that's bad, do not read Emily Rath. Like, she will absolutely clutch in your pearls. Like, some people that were reviewing Deep End and Bride online need to get a grip, like get a solid grip of themselves, and this book was no different. I don't know why people seem to have zoned in on Ellie Hazelwood and decided to harass her. She's actually recently been, or not recently, but recently enough, been harassed offline. People were going in on her for saying that she liked Gale and thought Peeta was fairly useless, which is a fair statement. Like, their character, like, that's literally all she said, and she got bullied offline. I mean, Peeta was pretty useless. Like, let's face it, if he hadn't been there, Katniss would have got on a lot better. But, oh, she would have died. But, like, yeah, swings and roundabouts. It doesn't matter, it's a book. To say you prefer one character over another shouldn't have somebody jumping down your throat. Please get a solid grip on yourselves. Now, this book was no different. It's called Problematic Summer Romance, and a lot of the lead up and a lot of her online presence was talking about the fact that she knew she was going to get a little flack for this because it was an age gap romance. Now, I'm no stranger to age gap romances. Like, I've got a few on my shelf, and I don't care. Like, if you have an age gap romance that's problematic, like one of the characters is a literal child, or under 18 and the other person is much older, or they've been in their life for a long enough time that they've been able to manipulate them in some way or groom them, yes, absolutely, you shouldn't be writing things like that unless it's like My Dark Vanessa is specifically about grooming. It's about abuse. Like, that is the point of the book. It's not saying this is a good thing, it's saying this is why it's a bad thing. But if you're doing that as like, this is a great thing, that's where the problem lies. These characters are all adults. They are fully grown ass adults. The main characters, he is in his late 30s and she's in her mid 20s. I think it's a 14 age gap. Now, she is basically a genius, so this is a book 2 kind of companion to Not in Love. So this is Eli's sister and one of Eli's best friends. And Eli's sister, she is a genius. She is a physicist, I want to say. I might be wrong. But she meets her brother's best friend at university when he sort of arrived, like, helps her out with something, and she falls like kind of immediately for him and is like pushing, and he's like, no, you're too young. Like, she's again in her early 20s at this point, and he's like, no, like, boundaries, absolutely not, you are like a child. And she's like, I'm actually an adult, but but then later on when they do get together, like I say, she is 3 or 4 years later, she is out of university, she is like in her mid-20s, she's going to like a really high flying job, that sort of thing. Like, they are both adults and consenting adults at that. Now, when it comes to this book in general, there are a few problems that I had with the book, and some of them I didn't really notice until I started watching other reviews of it. And one is one point that somebody made that is an amazing point Ellen made. I will tag Ellen in the bits, the doobly-doo. And she made a point that she just kept saying, girls, like, stand up for yourself, like, do something, do not be like this over a man. Like, because yeah, the female main character is like so down bad that she's actually kind of embarrassing. It's actually really quite cringe. Like, she is, like, he has rejected her so many times and she just keeps like throwing it, and it's like, come on, please, you are an intelligent adult woman, please stop throwing yourself like around for this man who has told you outright that he has no interest in you. Like, just please have some self-respect. And yeah, that thinking back on it, that did like irk me a little bit. Like, sometimes I can forgive a lot of behaviour because I know what the end game is. So I kind of forgave that behaviour, but then when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, we really shouldn't be doing that much for men. That's too much. But overall, I really liked it. I liked the characters, I liked the format of it going back to the past and into the future. I really enjoyed this overall. It is up there with one of my favourite Ali Hazelwoods. I think Love Theoretically is still my favourite, and then probably Not in Love, and then probably this, and then going down from there. But yeah, so it is one of my favourite Ali Hazelwoods, but if the characters were real people, I would give them a shake, if that makes sense. But at the same time, it kind of makes for good writing and reading. Next up, I was given an arc on NetGalley of Picture Perfect by Tessa Bailey. Now, this is book 4 in the... I can't remember what the series is called. The first one is Fangirl Down, second one's The Opera Fair, and the third one is Dreamgirl Drama. I did not know we were going to be getting a book 4 for this. I thought it was going to stop with Dreamgirl Drama, but this one takes a little sideways step from Dreamgirl Drama, and this is between one of the guys on the hockey team and the female pitcher who pitched for a kind of like, they had a baseball game against like baseball players, and it was just a whole thing. The hockey guys in Dreamgirl Drama because of situations there, and this the main character kind of just like fell for the female main character, and she's like, absolutely not, you're obviously a douche, you're an F-boy. Like, she walks in to hearing him talking about his latest conquest, that sort of thing, and he's like, I have majorly effed up. I have majorly effed up. And he is trying to redeem himself. And so he ends up going with her to a family games sort of thing. So her family are all very, very competitive. So our mum, our dad, our brother's best friend, who she is completely in love with, her and her best friend usually end up having a competition every year, and they do like different things. They'll do like swimming competitions and hiking. Like there's all these different events basically to see who wins it. And her friend has had to bow out because she's having problems at work. She owns her workplace, and so he is like, I will go with you and compete with you. And she's like, you're out of your mind. They decide to tell everybody that he is her boyfriend, and it's fake dating, forced proximity scenario. I love this. This one had all of my favourite tropes. Only one bed, forced proximity, fake dating, enemies to lovers, like but yeah, like I say, she is totally in love with her brother's best friend, and so the reason they're pretending he's her boyfriend is so that he'll be jealous, which obviously doesn't pan out because it's a romance novel and we all know how that goes. But yeah, I love this. Every time I read one book in the series, it is always my favourite book in that series, and this was no different. I think this is now my favourite in the series, so yeah. I love it when Tessa Bailey is on. She is on. Next, I read the new Stephanie Archer, which is Gloves Off. This is another hockey romance, as you can tell, and again, I have been waiting for this one. I applied for the ARC for this one in NetGalley and did not get it. Not that I'm bitter at all, but yeah, this follows Alexei, and who's the female main character? That's terrible. This follows Alexei and Georgia, and Alexei is one of the hockey team members. I want to say he's the goalie, but I'm probably wrong, because I think one of the other guys is the fake out. No, behind the net. Jamie's the goalie. Alexei is one of the defensemen on the team, kind of the enforcer of the team, and Georgia is one of the team doctors, I want to say. I can't even remember. Yeah, I think she's one of the team doctors. And they end up in this ridiculous marriage of convenience because he is about to be deported back to somewhere. I can't even remember. And so she ends up marrying him. I actually can't remember how it happens. Because like it is so quick in the first bit that they end up getting married. And it is hinted at in the previous book. Like a bombshell's dropped in the previous book, so like this is known about, and so they have to pass this test of their citizenship test and things like that. They need to pretend like they're actually married, so they have to go on dates and they have to live together. And again, it's this enemies to lovers. They hate each other. Like he thinks that she is this rich bitch, because she has all these expensive shoes like Louboutins and stuff like that. He thinks she's this rich bitch and has no respect for her whatsoever. And because he thinks that, she plays it up even though she's not rich. She treats herself to shoes, yes, but she's not rich. And she actually had quite a humble upbringing. And she thinks that if he's going to be biased towards her, if he's going to be an arse, then fine. She's just going to lean into it. And she winds him up to no end and he winds her up to no end. And they honestly, they clash so much. It's more like she hates him more than he hates her, because he's kind of enjoys it, whereas she's actually raging, and gets quite hurt by some of the things that he says because they're just frankly not true. And so yeah, they have to live together and they form this kind of weird relationship. He at one point gets so jealous over something and it is just absolutely hilarious. I love these two. I loved the relationship they had. I loved the banter they had. I loved the way they came to care about each other, because it was that sort of thing where it's I hate them and I'm allowed to be mean to them, but you're not allowed to be mean to them, if you know what I mean. So yeah, again, I love this series, and I'm not sure if we're getting any more, but I really, really hope we do. Next up, I decided to read Face Off by Chelsea Curto. Right, so the thing is, there's 4 books in this series so far, and I really want to read the 4th one, and so I had to start from the first one. I probably didn't have to, but I really wanted to start from the first one just to understand the side characters as you go through. So Face Off is the first one, and it is about this female hockey player who is the first female player to be called up to the NHL. And now she has a very masculine name. Her name is Emerson. She gets called Emmy. And so the guys are expecting a man to show up. And when a woman shows up, some of the team take it very well and some of the team don't take it very well at all, including our main male character, who is the captain and who just absolutely has it out for Emmy because he sees her at the rink when he first arrives and he thinks she is a fan who wants to get in his pants and basically is quite misogynistic to her, and she's like, "You just wind your neck in right now." Doesn't tell him who she is, and then when they're in the meeting to introduce her, he is then really mad that she let him behave like that, even though, you know, it's his own fault that he behaved like that. This book was my favourite. Like, it just seemed to go on for no reason. I liked the relationship they had, I liked the banter, I liked a lot of it, but there were just points in it where I was like, can we just, do we need this bit? Can we skip over it? And they kind of end up with this friends with or enemies with benefits situation. And honestly, sometimes I was just skimming over the smut scenes because it was just a bit much. I don't know if that is because I was in a bad place with it. Like I said, this month has been not great. So I don't know if that was affecting it or if it was the actual book. I'll find out as I read the series, but I think it's also the first book, so, you know, they will hopefully get better. Overall, I do want to continue the series, but I'm not, like, chomping at the bit. Next up, I read The Sirens by Amelia Hart. Can we just get some, like, commotion for this book? It is gorgeous. It is beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed this. Now, Amelia Hart wrote Wayward, which everybody was talking about a year or so ago when it came out, and this is another, I want to say magical realism leaning into fantasy sort of book where we follow our main character who wakes up on top of a guy in her dorm literally strangling him in her sleep. And he is screaming and she has no idea what's happened. She doesn't know why she's there. She just knows that she had a nightmare and she's woken up and she is physically attacking someone. But unfortunately, he had just slept with her and then ghosted her. So she was like, this is going to look horrendously bad. And so she runs and gets in her car and decides to go visit her sister. Does she even get in her car and gets on the bus? She decides to go visit her sister who lives like on the other side of the country. I think this is set in Canada. Now, her sister lives in this area, in this really spooky town where there have been historical murders happening, or disappearances that are suspected to be murders, and they have yet to be solved. And when she gets there, her sister isn't there. And so she's kind of waiting for her, trying to figure out what's going on, while at the same time she's trying to figure out what's going on with her dreams. So she keeps having these nightmares about water, and she keeps finding herself waking up incrementally closer to the water. So the first time she wakes up, she's at the window. The next time she's at the door. The next time she is outside and then on the beach. And, you know, and the reason this is a problem, other than the fact that, you know, sleepwalking in the middle of the night on the cliff edge down to a beach is fairly dangerous. Our main character, whose name I can't remember, that is terrible, Lucy. Lucy has a genetic condition where she is extremely allergic to water, like to the point where she can't shower, she can't bathe, she has to have like special things in place because if water touches her skin it will start to split and blister, and it's horrible and painful, and will be painful and split and everything for ages until it heals. And she is kind of having this discovery where her sister's missing, she doesn't know what's going on. She ends up reading her sister's diary, so we get like excerpts from the diary in the past, and there are things about her family that she doesn't know. She's been kept in the dark about a lot of it, and there's also secrets that her parents had. This book is great. There's so many things that get tied together, and I really enjoyed the way it was done. I don't know if this is for everybody. Like it's very kind of out there, kind of weird sort of. There's like a murder mystery going on, while at the same time there's like the personal mystery going. There's a lot going on, but it ties together very, very nicely, and I think the balance is done very, very well. I am so excited to read anything else that Amelia Hart writes because I love Wayward and I love this even more. So yeah, I'm very happy that I finally picked this up. Next, I picked up another ebook, and that is The Right Move by Liz Tomford. I am trying to get through this series. The new book, Rewind It Back, just came out, and they're all on KU, so I'm trying to read through them because I'm trying to decide if I want to get the series as, like, shelf trophies, basically, if I want to get the paperbacks of the series. And I'm not fully sold yet, but we shall see. The Right Move, however, was incredible. This follows Indy, who is... So, here we go. So Xanders and Stevie are the two from book 1, Mile High. I did not like Xanders. I had a big problem with Xanders, but it's by the by. So Xanders and Stevie. Xanders is on the hockey team. Stevie is one of the flight attendants for their private flights. Indy, who's the main character in this book, is one of the flight attendants that works with Stevie. And Ryan, the main character, is Stevie's twin brother. Now, when Stevie moves out to go and live with Xanders, it means that Ryan has a spare room, or a couple of spare rooms, considering he has, like, this massive apartment. And so when Indy walks in on her boyfriend with someone else and has to leave, Stevie suggests that she goes and lives with Ryan. And at first, they're both like, absolutely not, this is a terrible idea. Ryan is, like, really, really solitary, doesn't really have any friends, only really speaks to Stevie, goes to work. He's a basketball player for the NBA, and he's extremely famous, literally can't move an inch without somebody, like, doing something to, like, get his attention or flag him down, take a picture, want an autograph, like, chasing down the street, that sort of thing. And so he lives a very, very solitary life. He doesn't let people into his space, and he is also just made captain of his team. So eventually because his sister is a soft spot, he says yes to have an Indy move in. Now, he is very much a black and white guy. Like, his apartment is all black and white and chrome. It is just, like, it looks like nobody lives there. And Indy is this very chaotic, bright, colourful, like, explosion of a person. And so she comes in and she's like, right, we're not having this. And she starts to, like, interlude herself into his space, which he starts to find he doesn't mind, even though he thinks he minds it. And like I said, he has just become the captain of his team. But the owner of the team doesn't think he's got to be captain because of his personality, because he doesn't engage with the guys, because he doesn't, do things with them, he doesn't invite them over, he's very distant, like, he's very closed off. And so in a sudden turn of events, he announces to his boss that Indy is his girlfriend, and his boss is like, oh, that's great, that's amazing, like, it's so nice to see you changing. So it gets him out of a lot of trouble, and then he has to convince Indy to fake date him for his boss, just to make him look better, and hopefully loosen him up a little bit as well in the meantime. Now, Indy is also trying to save money, hence why partly she's moved in with Ryan. Chicago is a very expensive place to live, and she doesn't have the biggest salary being a flight attendant. But she is desperately trying to save up to move out, and also for fertility treatments, because she and her mum have a genetic condition, which means that their ovaries are very, very... they age very fast, and she's run out of time to potentially have eggs retrieved. And so she's saving up for this, but she hasn't told anybody. And Ryan ends up giving her this deal where if she pretends to be his girlfriend, she doesn't need to pay rent. And so she can put that aside for her savings. He doesn't know what she's saving up for. He just thinks she's saving up to move out. And so they engage in this fake dating back and forth. All the while, Indy is also trying to get over her breakup, and these two are just like, they're just kind of made for each other in such a good way. Like, she loosens him up so much, and he shows her that she is worth something, because her ex made her feel basically worthless. Her friends who are friends with her ex have made her feel totally worthless because they kind of use her but aren't there for her, whereas Ryan has no use for her. Like, he doesn't want her there. He actively tells her he does not want her in his space, and yet he shows up time and time and time again, because that is the kind of person he is. And he's just a decent guy. He has no ulterior motive for turning up for her, and so he starts to show her that she is actually worth something, and she helps him like I say, loosen up a bit. These two together are amazing. I love this book so much. I think it's probably going to be my favourite. I think it's a lot of people's favourite in the series, and I can totally see why. Next up is my last physical book of the month, and that is Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sue Lynn Tan. This is the second book in the... I don't think there's Celestial Kingdom series? I don't know. So the first one is the Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I've started peeling the sticker off and now I'm not going to be able to stop. So the Daughter of the Moon Goddess follows the Daughter of the Moon Goddess as she goes to the Celestial Kingdom and becomes a soldier. She then becomes companions with, and kind of falls for the prince. And the Celestial Emperor and Empress do not like that. And so she ends up going back to the moon eventually. There's a whole thing. Now this follows on from that, and this follows on from that, and she is put in a position where there are basically two guys vying for it. It's a love triangle situation, but one I don't actually mind. And there's also something else happening where there is a usurper in the Celestial Kingdom who wants to be the emperor and will stop at nothing to do so. But there's something on the moon, a laurel tree, that is very important to him for taking over. And so he infiltrates the moon and they have to run. We get to see characters that we've seen from the previous book. I regret doing this now, look at that, that's terrible. We see characters that we've seen in the previous book, and we get the introduction as well of other characters, as you can imagine. All who are kind of utilising the story to help save the world, basically, or the immortal world. Now, this one, I don't know how I feel about this one and the Daughter of the Moon Goddess, because they're both very, like, they're both YA in the sense that, well, they're YA, but they're also YA in the sense that the stakes, although they are high, it never gets too deep or too gruesome or too, like, you know how some adult fantasies can get, like, dark. These don't go that way, which is partially why I really like them. I also really like the storytelling style. I like the mythology behind it. I like a lot of that. But it got to a point sometimes where I was like, can we get going, please? Can we move the action along? This one definitely had less action, even though, like I say, the stakes were really, really high. There was a few places where I feel like she could have expanded, while a few places that I feel like she needed to really, like, rein in and shorten it up. And this is going to be really annoying for somebody to watch me take the sticker off the entire time I am talking to you, but I apologise. It is highly annoying that the sticker is stuck on like this. Why do we put stickers on books? Like, bookstores, I beg you, stop putting stickers on with friggin' super glue. It's so rude. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so there was a few places where I feel like she just needed to, like, edit it down a bit, and then some places where I was like, well, I would like expansion on. Overall, I really enjoyed it. Is it my new favourite thing? No. Is it showing me that I still really seem to like fantasies based in different types of Asian mythology? Absolutely. I would definitely read more from this. I don't know if I'll go for the short stories. I think I might read the short stories, because there are things that happened in this book that I feel like might be expanded. Like I said, like, I wanted things expanded. Maybe they're expanded in the other book. It's just like short stories from the Celestial Kingdom rather than another book. Sorry. Yeah, so stickers off. It's still tacky though, but better than nothing. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed this, but it wasn't like my new favourite thing. I struggle normally with YA, but I feel like YA fantasy is probably a better place for me than some other YA, like YA romance, stuff like that. I'm really not liking, whereas YA fantasy seems to be right in my alley because it doesn't have the, not that it doesn't have the complexity of adult fantasy, but like, it's at a level where I can understand it more, which is great. Next up, I read another arc that I got from Nick Alley, and that is A Match Made in Hell. This is about a woman who dies following a stupid accident where she gets drunk and falls off a cliff, and she finds herself in hell, or she thinks it's hell. It's actually asphodel, which is the sort of middle ground of the Greek world, the Greek underworld. So in the Greek underworld, you have Tartarus, where like the bad goes. You have Asphodel, which is kind of like a middle ground where like most people tend to go. And then you have Elysium, where the really good people go. So like a lot of the time in Percy Jackson, for example, the heroes go to Elysium. If you die a hero, you go to Elysium. The general people tend to go to Asphodel, and Tartarus is for the worst of the worst. It is a punishment place. And so she finds herself in Asphodel, but things are slightly off in how they are supposed to be. The demons have kind of been coming through and torturing the humans, finding fault with the humans, dealing with the humans in a really not great way. And so she decides she needs to get out of here. She's got so much more life to live. She wants to leave. And so she strikes up a deal with Sath, who is the king of hell, or she calls him the king of hell. He's actually the king of Asphodel. And they kind of, she has to go through these 7 trials, one for each deadly sin, and he tries to, like, his job is to try and tempt her to sin, and she has to not, basically, to pass this test. Now, she has the understanding that if she passes tests, she will then be allowed to leave and go back to her old life. And it's such a weird, it was so weird, this book, because on the one hand, I wasn't really enamoured that much with the characters. I wish there was more world building. Like, I really wish there was more world building. And when that's coming from me, you know it's bad. But I really enjoyed watching her do these tasks. Like, it was like, some of them were totally ridiculous, but it was entertaining. Like, I kept turning pages, but I was more interested in the bits with the tasks than I was when we were supposed to be developing the romance or developing the world building, because it just wasn't for me. You know, I enjoyed it. It was fine, but could have done without. Like, I wouldn't have lost anything if I hadn't read it, if you know what I mean. And then finally, I read Caught Up by Liz Tomford, and that is book 3 in the Windy City series, so I've only got 2 to go. And this follows, oh, here we go, now I can't remember. This follows our main character, whose name I can't remember, and he is Malachi, that's his name. This follows Malachi, who is a single dad. We meet him in the previous book. I don't know what my hair's doing. Anyway, and he is a single dad, and he needs a nanny for his son, because his son is only 15 months old at the time, and they've arranged for him to be able to come to games, because he literally, this woman arrived on his doorstep when his son was 6 months old and was like, I can't do this anymore, have a child. And so he immediately rearranged his entire life to look after his son. And yes, he has a son. They did the DNA test. It's definitely his son. Ignore like that whole, you don't need to worry about that side of it. He's already well established that he's had him since he was 6 months old. He's now 15 months old. You know, you don't need to worry about that side of it. Now, he is so dedicated to his son. You find out that he is so dedicated to his family. He's that kind of like, will give up his own life to look after his family sort of person. But he needs a babysitter or a nanny for his son, because he's fired every single one of them for absolutely ridiculous reasons. And so Monty, who is one of the head coaches of the team, he's a baseball player, I should also say, decides that because his daughter is coming home, she is a chef, so go to Miller. Miller is a chef. She's a pastry chef. She's extremely famous. She goes into kitchens and helps them sort out their menus so that they can get Michelin stars, particularly with their desserts. And she's booked up solid for like 4 years in 3-month stints to go to restaurants. But she is not able to bake. She is burning things. She is just not, she's lost her mojo. She's lost her mojo. And so she needs a change. And she decides, that's it, I'm taking the summer off. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go visit my dad because I've not seen him for a while. Monty is her dad. Monty is one of the head coaches of the team. And so he says, since she's going to be coming with us, why don't you have her be your nanny? And that way she can come on the road with us. I get to see her. You can't fire her because she's my daughter. And so Kai reluctantly agrees to this. And so they have this, like, it's so, they have this really great relationship. They learn to kind of work together and be together, and they both love his son very, very much. Like, his son is so, like, he's just a little squish. And it is an age gap. It's funny because I was just talking about the Ali Hazelwood one being an age gap. This is also an age gap. But again, they're both adults. These two I love the way these two interact. He is so resistant to getting to know her because, you know, she's leaving. She is trying to, you know, find her mojo, but she's getting distracted and not having a chance to bake. And it's just, they just have this great relationship that revolves a lot around his son. Like, he loves his son more than anything else, and so somebody that makes his son happy is somebody that he learned to really care for, because his son especially doesn't like women. He's got like this aversion to women. A lot of the time, like, he's scared of women, but he takes right to Miller straight away. And so it's like that whole thing of, like, if a dog doesn't like someone, you know you can't trust them. If your dog likes someone, you're good. So, like, his kid's like his litmus test, if that makes sense. But yeah, these two are great. They end up obviously falling for each other, even though it's against their rules. And it's just amazing. Like, these characters have such complex backgrounds that we get to see into and learn to understand their mindsets and things like that. I do think Liz Tomford does a great job of writing characters, and the further in we go, like, every character's complex. Even Xander's, I know I don't like Xander's, but, like, even he has a complex past that is the reasoning behind his behaviour. Like, there's no just personality types for the sake of it. They all have a purpose, they all have a background, they all have sort of long-standing consequences and long-standing, like, things that cause them to be who they are. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I can't wait to watch the next one. I can't wait to read the next one. I'm really excited for it, and it's good because I've lost it. That's terrible. Here we go. I actually got a Kindle. It is just a basic Kindle, so that I could read ebooks. That's why I've been reading so many more ebooks, because my tablet screen that I was using was giving me really, really bad headaches and migraines. I already have a chronic migraine. I don't need to be making it worse. So yeah, that's helped me read so many more ebooks. I'm enjoying it. And honestly, this month has been so bad that I've just been picking up whatever takes my fancy, because I just not been feeling great at all. I'll probably update it in my stats, my Q2 stats update. But yeah, that's everything I read in the month of June. If you want to let me know you are here, if you leave me some kind of sports emoji, I suppose, because I read a lot of sports romance. We've got baseball, basketball, ice hockey, mostly ice hockey, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I read a lot of sports romance this month. So if you leave me some kind of sports related emoji in the comments, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.